So my promotion, I was very happy to get it. I like, but I was still working with public aid recipients, but we began to place them on jobs, give them enough skills to make a living. So that
So,
was
so you were helping them get into the restaurant
industry, yeah.
business, yeah.
I did that for about a year, year and a half. I didn't particularly get along with my supervisor, so I was able to get promoted out of there into a counselor for Job Corps, youth jobs. I counsel kids into getting a job, keeping them, and how to keep a job. I did that for about a year. Always looking for more money. I found a job as an administrator, directing a small program on the west side as a settlement house. Got another 50% increase in salary. So I left and took the new job. I worked that job for about a year and a half. I then got an opportunity to go with the city's War on Poverty program. Got another 50% increase in salary. So then I could trade my Cadillac and get a bigger Cadillac.
And this was all working for the city.
Working for the city at this point. And we're talking 1967, 68. While working for the city, a marvelous thing happened to me. A program came out that if you didn't have a degree in teacher education, they had a scholarship program that you could go back and teach and be paid for it and get your master's degree and not have to spend a penny of your money. 1968, I got an interview for it. I was accepted into graduate school, Loyola University, did a 2-year study in teaching, got my master's in teacher education. And while I was doing that, I worked as an assistant to a professor at the University of Illinois, helped him produce a program for public television. He couldn't pay me for my work and wanted to know what he could do to pay me back. Since he had a PhD from Northwestern University, I said, you could assist me in getting in the PhD program at Northwestern. He did. In 1970, I became a full-time student for my PhD at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. I got a full-time fellowship to do it. I got a part-time teaching job. I taught at Northwestern University's undergraduate program. In 2 years, due to hard work and a lot of assistance from my second wife, Barbara, I completed my PhD in school administration and became a principal in the suburbs of Chicago.
What a journey.
Quite a journey. What I didn't mention, before that time I had gotten a divorce from my first wife, Mary. I had married Barbara Blackwell, who was my second wife, my typist, and my support system for getting my master's and my doctorate. In 72, I marched down the aisles with a PhD from Northwestern. Immediately left there and became a principal of school, a small school in Markham. Worked as an elementary school principal for 2 years, Markham, Illinois. I lived on the south side of Chicago then. By that time, I had bought a new Cadillac, a 1976 Seville, because I've always been a lover of automobiles, particularly at that time, new ones. Just be thankful. I worked as principal for 2 years and was promoted to assistant superintendent, school district 144 that I worked in. When I became assistant superintendent, my boss asked where was I going, where I planned to go as an assistant superintendent. He was superintendent. I told him I planned to have his job one day. He didn't take well to that, but as luck would have it and hard work would have it, in 10 years he retired and I became superintendent of school district 144, Hazel Crest, Illinois, the first African-American superintendent they'd ever had in the whole 100-year history of the school district. It was by far the biggest, most prestigious, best paying job I had ever had.
What was your impression of the neighborhood?
Brownsville, I lived in the heart of the hood, if you want to call it, but the hood in 63 was not the hood of today. I felt comfortable walking down the street any time of night. We had our share of burglaries and stick-ups, but nothing like today. 51st Street was live. It was liver than 47th Street is today. I lived at Prairie, which was 2 blocks from Indiana. Between Indiana and Wabash, I think, Michigan, was a popular 24-hour restaurant called H&H. H&H stayed open 24 hours with soul food. Up and down 51st Street were restaurants, bars, clothing stores, pawn shops, everything in the hood. L-Track, hot dog stand, popcorn stand, all up and down 51st Street. Bars were open until 4 o'clock, until 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd never seen a bar open past 12 o'clock at night in Kentucky. And they were open 7 days a week. In Kentucky, they don't sell liquor on Sunday, so you can't go in a bar. It was exciting. You could get hungry at 1 o'clock in the morning, walk to 51st Street, and pass 20 people on your way to eat from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning. It was just live. People were out. Those days when you went out, you dressed up. Dressed up meant men put on a suit and tie typically, and women put on after 5 looking clothes, because you were going to your favorite bar to drink and for the high life, or you were going out to eat. Because integration was not really what it is today, most African Americans ate in African American restaurants. They made it clear you were not welcome at the Palmer House and at the Hyde and down there. And also during that time, you could not rent in the Loop and you could not buy in the Loop. So it was very clear you were not welcome. So food places like Gladys's in the 40s on Indiana, H&H, Soul Queen later on, 63rd Street, which has a lot of restaurants, were live and people ate and dined, and black businesses flourished. Integration killed many, many black businesses. At the time, Fuller had bought a huge department store at 47th and King Drive. There were men's clothing stores, black tailors that tailored your clothes. Shoe shine parlors were big. You did not go out without your shoe shine. Then shoe shine was 25 cents. So you walk in a shoe shine parlor, get a shoe shine and tip the guy 25 cents was big time. Drinks were $1. So you run the bar, 10 people on it and then spend but $10. So it was a kind of time. The economy when I came to Chicago was good. It was the 50s. After the war, things were flourishing. People had jobs.
A lot of middle class families.
Yeah. Chatham was beginning to develop. Parts of Chatham still wasn't totally black, but your dream was to get enough money and buy you a bungalow, 2-flat in Chatham. And that's where I set my dream for in the 60s, late 60s, and of course I accomplished it in the 70s. One of my problems when I came to Chicago is I'd never been to a place where you could get 2 and 3 jobs. And because I desired to have Cadillacs and custom-made clothes and have more than most of my friends had, I had very little time that I socialized. So when I got off from one job, I went to the next job or to school. The first 10 years I was in Chicago, it was unheard of that I didn't have 2 jobs. Because the one thing I wanted to do when I went back to Kentucky, I wanted to show success. And success meant a new big car, fine clothes, preferably some jewelry, and some money in your pocket. The only way I could do it was to have 2 or 3 jobs and play like I had one. My first wife was quite content to have a nice apartment, a car, and come home from work. As soon as I got here and found out there were places like Chatham and Beverly And there were houses that I could buy at that time for $100,000 with 4 bedrooms and 2 baths and 3-car garage. I set my vision on that. And I didn't slow down until I got one.